you were 13 when you made your way to China, and your mother, and initially you weren't allowed to say that you were mother and daughter.
No.
And you were not allowed to say that you're 13 because they wanted to believe you were 18 to buy you to be his wife. So in the level of horrors that you've described, this was less bad than many things that could have happened.
No,
but this
they say that, but this was the same broker willing to sell to the brothels or organ harvesters who gives him the most money.
Okay, so the broker who buys you as his wife,
he was selling to these people,
was selling other women to organ harvesters,
brothels,
and to brothels.
Yeah.
And so you were forced to live with this man.
So I was 13. I was separated from my mom, and I was alone. And there's a Han broker, Chinese broker, bought me. He was by then like third broker. So we go through the human trafficking ring. Each time we are sold, they make the bigger margin on us. So initially, my mother's price was $65. They sold my mom, 21st century. And they sold me just over $200 because I was child virgin. And that's something precious for these people, these perverted people. And then by this Han broker, he got me, and he was very impressed that I was still virgin. Because normally women don't keep the virginity because they get attacked so many times. And luckily I had my mom until him. So my mom offered herself every single time, and they're trying to rape me. And she was raped in front of me, inside of me.
You described that in the book, that your mother was raped in front of you, and that was your first experience of any kind of the sexual act, was watching your mother being raped. And this happens every time there's a transaction. And so where did you end up eventually?
In this Han brokers, he bought me, and then he said, I was gonna kill myself.
You said you were gonna kill yourself?
Yeah, I was, as a knife, I was like, I lost my mind. I could not live like that. So I was like, ending my life. And he said, if I become his mistress, he was going to help me buy my family back to me. He was gonna help me, my family. So,
and in some way, as bad as he was, in some way he was true to that word, to this promise to you.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting part of the story. I think you say this, that even the worst person has some good.
Of course.
And, well, you say of course, some people don't see it that way. You're correct. It's fascinating that this person who did great evil nonetheless did help you to find your father.
My mom. He brought my mom back from the farmer that he sold.
And rescued your mother because he said, if you don't kill yourself, I will do this for you.
Yeah.
So you're reunited with your mother. And how did you see your father again?
He brought my father from North Korea. And by then my father was extremely sick because all the torture he got from the prison camp. So he passed away. I don't know if you guys remember Beijing Olympic in 2008. I remember world was celebrating it. It was like huge, huge festival. And as a refugee in China, seeing all the signs, like he died right before that in 2008, and I couldn't even cry because we could not let people know that somebody died. Somebody would hear us. And he was buried. In the middle of the night, I buried him in the mountain, his ashes.
The story of your father dying, because I'm a father and I have a daughter, it's very beautiful. It's very, very moving. And the idea that he somehow gave you hope and courage somehow, your father, to continue.
I know. It's like my second book starts like this. Like he said, my father said, people leave their names when they die in the world, and tigers leave their skin. He told me always make your name long and lasting. Like, what kind of North Korean thinks about that? Everybody thinks about finding next meal. And then he told me so many things in life, even in North Korea. In that situation, he told me that I had to become like a lollipop doll. You know, there's a doll always comes back up no matter how many times you hit it. He said, no matter how many times life hit you, you have to always come back up and fight back. And I think that's what kept me going in China. Like, I did not know a world like existed. I did not know this day was coming for me. And I still had to be hopeful, and that lesson stuck with me.
After you left, after your father died, you eventually were able to make your way to Mongolia.
Yeah, I had to cross the desert.
That was the real escape.
That was the one escape for freedom.
In other words, because when you escaped from North Korea into China you escaped into slavery, sex slavery.
Yeah.
How was it that you eventually were able to go from China to Mongolia, which has complicated relationships with different countries, but you knew that if you can get to Mongolia, you're out of China?
So here is where this man who bought me, he became very, he was gambling so much, he became addicted to that. And then, by some reason, he was letting me go. And even in China, somebody lets you go. Where do you go? I was going to restaurants and beg them, like, I can wash dishes, I can work clean. Just give me a place to eat and sleep with my mother. They would not give me that job, to be washing dishes. And then we heard there's a place, something called a camp girl. And so basically they give you a refuge to stay, shelter where you get fed and you have a place to sleep. Instead of that, you need to perform sex acts in front of the cameras.
Like a chat room.
Chat room, chat girl.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, it's better than getting raped physically, right? And that was the best option I had in China to survive. So I ended up in the chat room with my mother. In this chat room, there's another lady in the other room, and she said, there are some missionaries from South Korea willing to help us. And I did not know what word missionary was. And she was like, they're Christians. Like, what's Christian? Like, I don't know what that is. And we had a call with this pastor over the phone. And we don't know even how to pray. He said, I'm going to pray for your protection. At the end of, you have to just say amen. And I was laughing. It's like somebody's praying to something, nothing, right? And then he said, if you want to be rescued, that you got to come to this shelter at home. We're going to teach you about Bible. So we left the chat room, and then we joined him in Qingdao, China. We joined them with 8 other people in our team, and I was studying Bible for several months.